Arts.
La Small Hotel and Resorts, number 9, Room Calagbo off Waterlines, Basta, Port Harcourt.
Parents, teachers, and children alike, don't miss out on the fun with Uncle Clown bouncing castle as we cut the Children's Day cake. Admission is just 2,000 naira per child. For participation and sponsorship opportunities, call us now 0806 673 89 and 0810 634 1777.
This event is proudly sponsored by
Excel International Magazine, Nigeria Brewery, Indomie, The Scented Room, Terranos Limited,
the Last Small Hotel and Resort with Atlantic Television Network and 99.5 Wish FM Port Harcourt, Lesuka Event Center, Gate Place Hotel, 8 Ball Hotel and Lounge, Oma Studio, Osgia Table Water.
Remember that every child is unique. See you there. This event is managed by Pace Expressions Arts.
Special guest appearing, Hilda Dokumo, Children's Day.
I just the last minute instruction. Now you cause more delay. You say you change meter, make you not read again.
Which time I make you change meter? Oh, Kasali, why you do like like this now? Eh? You don't get sense. You don't read the text message. No, me I want send them to. Like Kasali, my electrician make you come house, call me do my meter so that you don't go to read again. You the electrician?
You're electrician.
Yes, now.
So you call Kasali electrician? Make you call adjust your meter. Make it for no read again. So you say if you want young people where be say they no want to pay NEPA bill again, abi. Oga, you no good now. You don't behave like all this stiff.
Oh, what you change for your motor? What you change for?
Now let's go into some market reports, local and international business news for today. Analysts have commended the Anambra State Governor, Charles Soludo, for the move to resolve issues regarding the new minimum wage implementation for workers in the state. Speaking on Atlantic Television Network's Blowout, a socio-political analyst, Abel Abraham, lauded Governor Charles Soludo for taking urgent steps at resolving issues. Let's listen to him.
Trying to create a pathway for other governors to tread. And I must commend him because I think other states are shying away from having even a closed-door meeting with the
Abel Abraham also advised state governors to adopt an open-door policy to discuss the well-being of civil servants in their states.
We are not ready for that. We can't have these closed-door meetings and coming to a conclusion of a lot of things we have trashed out and some things we are, maybe you understand where these people are complaining, their complaints, you understand all those things they are bringing to the table. So I'm hoping, I'm praying these things should come to reality.
The Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria to fully implement the 2019 minimum wage policy. In a state past months, the economy had yet to record any corresponding positive impact. It said that the twin burden of high inflation and interest rates was overheating the economy and causing increased volatilities as interest rates adjust to the new monetary policy rates. We are likely to see a reduction in demand as purchasing power weakens and to lower industrial production and loss of jobs and productivity, fight insecurity, and invest more in infrastructure like power and transportation. On its part, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria said that the persistent macroeconomic instability in Nigeria resulting from sustained monetary policy decisions over the past 2 years had negatively impacted the manufacturing sector. It further argued that the combination of heightened borrowing costs and reduced liquidity would hinder manufacturers' ability to invest in innovative technologies, expand production capacities, or venture into new markets. That, it said, could lead to delays or cancellations of planned initiatives, ultimately potential for growth and its overall contribution to economic growth and development. Don't forget, we are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials, and you can connect with us and watch us on our ATN socials, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, on X, formerly Twitter, Atlantic TV Net, and watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Moving on to other stories, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources in Oil, Heineken Lokpobiri, on Monday announced about $16.6 billion investment committed to Nigeria's oil in the past 1 year. He spoke in Abuja while providing updates on the achievements in the oil sector since President Bola Tinubu assumed office on May 29, 2023. In an earlier meeting with the Chief Executive Officer of Slumberger Limited, Olivier Lepobri revealed that the federal government would soon seal a $20 billion deal to boost oil and gas production in Nigeria. Lepobri also pointed out that Nigeria witnessed increased crude oil production since Tinubu assumed office. On steps taken to increase crude oil production include Lukpobri stated that the efforts were made towards revamping redundant oil assets to active status. He said that there was continuous engagement with international oil companies and independent petroleum producers group members in resolving industry disputes towards increasing production. Solutions of internal joint venture contracts fields between joint venture partners on critical production fields, engaging local communities with critical assets running through them, all in a bid to decrease oil theft across the country. Consolidating existing security framework with private security firms and security agencies for pipeline surveillance, which led to a sharp decline in crude oil and thus increased production for export. The minister further noted that during this period, we also experienced the coming on stream of OML's 13 Sterling exploration and 85 first E&P, with the respective assets reaching first oil in the development of their licenses. Lukpobri explained that these assets are expected to produce an average of 20,000 and 40,000 barrels per day, respectively. And that this achievement is to the commitment of this administration to optimize production from the nation's oil and gas assets. President earlier reported that in commemoration of his first anniversary, who had directed his ministers to present their performance reports to Nigerians. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, while announcing this at a press briefing in Abuja on Wednesday, had stated that the low-key first anniversary celebration will be marked with sectoral media briefings by the 47 federal ministers starting on Thursday. The Senate at the plenary has urged federal government to make provisions for a special intervention fund for maintenance of transmission lines in the country. For over a month, the Northeast region had been in total darkness due to destroyed key towers of the power line along the Jos-Gombe route, and the Senate to a motion on the urgent need to vandalization of transmission lines on the Transmission Company of Nigeria in the Northeast Zone, sponsored by Senator and 14 other lawmakers from the zone. Senator Haruna drew the attention of his colleagues to the recent incidences of vandalization along the Jos-Gombe 330 kilovolts transmission line, which had resulted in severe disruptions to power supply affecting 7 states in the zone. Let's listen.
The Senate notes that the vandalization of critical electricity transmission infrastructure poses a significant threat to the economic prosperity, public health, safety and security of the Northeast region of Nigeria. Further note that recent incident of vandalization along the Jos-Gombe 330 kV transmission line have resulted in disruption to power supply, affecting the millions of residents, hospitals, commercial activities, communication networks, public safety, .
The northern lawmakers in decried the worsening cases of power outages in the northern part of the country and called for justice. They also called for more attention to be given to the well-being of the people of the Northeast, whom they said had suffered from long years of neglect.
As a native, growing up in my local, what we used to have no longer exists. The traditional grinding machine that we grind corn and all our consumables that need to be grinded. Today, that does no longer exist. You use electrical machines to grind all you need for your daily consumptions. So without electricity, nothing can really be achieved.
The federal government. We thank the federal government of Nigeria that we have the Northeast Development Commission. But the Northeast Development Commission alone cannot handle the development challenges in the Northeast today. So that, Mr. President, when you will take the lead in pursuing our case, we should go beyond just restoring the electricity that we have that is not even enough in any way in that part of the country, because we received the list.
After the debate, Senate appealed to President Bola Tinubu in line with the renewed hope agenda of his administration to expedite the construction of Yola Gombe 330 kilovolts transmission line to connect the northeast to the southeast transmission line to preserve as an alternative supply path to the northeast in the event of a fault in the line. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Olayemi Cardoso, has disclosed that the foreign exchange inflows recorded in the first quarter of 2024 into the Nigeria were about 136% of the recorded in 2020. Cardoso said this at the Vanguard Economic Discourse themed reforms in the era of global economic uncertainties. Wither Nigeria, which was held in Lagos on Thursday. The Apex Bank's governor, represented by the Director of Risk, Central Bank of Nigeria, Blaise Ijebo, said that we remain committed to using all the tools available to us to address inflation. We have also embarked on major reforms to liberalize the foreign exchange market, which has enhanced transparency, reduced arbitrage opportunities, and improved the liquidity in the market. The settlement of all valid foreign exchange forwards, which was one of my commitments when I came on as governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, has also improved the confidence of stakeholders. We are already seeing the results of these reforms in the growth of the foreign exchange flows into the country. The foreign exchange flows into the country in first quarter of 2024 was 136% of the total inflows that we had in the whole 2023. The CBN has been issuing a flurry of circulars on the forex market in a bid to sanitize the system. The regulator recently licensed 14 new international monetary transfer operators as it sought to double remittances into the country. Of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting on Tuesday in Abuja, the CBN governor said, our target, of course, is to double remittance flows within the year. And as I said, we have started to ensure that it happens. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria said that manufacturers were forced to cut production and jobs in the first quarter of the year due to macroeconomic related headwinds. MAN's Director of Research and Advocacy, Oluwasegun Osidipe, stated this on Thursday while presenting the manufacturer's CEO Confidence Index at the press conference in Lagos. According to the report, despite slight optimism, we saw the MCCI point towards a marginal increase above the 50 points confidence threshold. Current business condition and current employment remained low, below 50 points. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria associated this with the lingering effects of rising inflation, escalated energy prices, exchange rate instability, and customs duty rates. According to the reports, production and distribution costs surged further by 20% in the first quarter of 2024, while capacity utilization declined further by 9.7%. It read further that the volume of production slid further by 10.14% in the first quarter of 2024 from a contraction of 4.6% recorded in the previous quarter. Manufacturing employment further declined by 5.27% in the first quarter from the 4.46% contraction recorded in the preceding quarter. Sales volume also fell 7.16% in the first quarter of the year compared to 1.6% decline witnessed in the previous quarter. Commenting on the report, the president of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Francis Meshonye, noted that the forex and inflation and energy crisis impacted negatively on the manufacturing sector. Meshonye lamented that the production levels declined, a development that led to the decreased competitiveness of the sector. He urged the government to address the cost push factors driving inflation and also fast-track the recapitalization of the banks. Meshonye said that undoubtedly the manufacturing sector remains the most sustainable driver of steady economic growth, inflow, foreign exchange, and enduring shared prosperity. Man is distant. The government will intentionally prioritize manufacturing sector by implementing the sector's specific recommendations contained in the report and providing the required policy support and incentives. This is the surest way of revamping the sector and repositioning the economy towards sustainable growth and development. The Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, Lagos State branch, has disclosed that 70% of building materials were imported. The institute disclosed this at the 2024 Estates Week's press briefing held in Lagos recently. The chairman of the institute, Benga Ismail, noted that the reliance on imports from the country's building materials had made housing very expensive. According to Ismail, home ownership is a security problem which can be solved by localizing building materials. He said that 70% of building materials were imported, and if 70% are imported without fluctuating exchange rate, you know the consequence. Now, what is 30%? We have cement. Cement is how much today? We have concrete block. Part of it is cement mixed with sand, amongst others, and then labor, which is another expensive part. He noted that iron rods were equally imported, adding that steel companies like Ajaokuta lying there without being put to use in the country. Ismail asserted that the first-time home buyers should be a top priority, noting that the government should focus on creating opportunities and offering concessions to help individuals achieve their dreams of owning their first homes. He stated that this will enable them to secure a suitable and prosperous future. Additionally, critical workers such as doctors, medical professionals, armed forces personnel, and police officers should be given priority in home ownership by securing housing for the essential workers, we can create a stable foundation for our society, and then everything else will fall into place. The Lagos NIESV chairman further emphasized the need for government policies that facilitate easier and more accessible land acquisitions for citizens, ability and affordability of land for all. Last year, Vice President Kashim Shettima said that the country needed 21 trillion naira to build 8 million housing gap. Also, the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Ahmad Dangiwa, disclosed recently that the federal government had awarded contracts for the construction of 3,500 housing units in 13 states. The Rural Electrification Agency has signed 2 memoranda of understanding to generate 500 megawatts of renewable energy to electrify rural communities around the nation. The 500 megawatts will be delivered through various mini-grids to be constructed in unserved and undeserved communities. On Thursday, the RE Chief Executive Officer Abba Aliu signed a 250 with EM1, a renewable energy company at the Eco Hotels, Lagos. Earlier, the agency had signed a 250 megawatts agreement with Husk Power, saying that these agreements represent a significant step forward in realizing its vision of providing electricity for 23% of the 85 million Nigerians with no access to electricity. The MOU with EM1 signifies a combined commitment to deliver an additional 250 megawatts of interconnected grids across Nigeria. These interconnected mini-grids will target peri-urban and rural communities with a focus on sites with large-scale or commercial centers. These anchors will not only allow power, their operation, but also serve as hubs, illuminating surrounding underserved communities, the REA boss said. Grids are a core component of the REA's distribution access through renewable energy scale-up projects aiming to enhance energy access, stimulate local economies, and promote balanced development across Nigeria. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Shafa Energy, and Nigos on Thursday commenced the deployment of vehicle charging points at filling stations in Nigeria. Partners in the deal signed a tripartite memorandum of understanding during the flag-up filling station operated by AYM Shafa in Abuja, where an electric vehicle charging station was deployed and used to charge different automobiles. Providing details about the partnership, the managing director PCL New Energy Limited, a subsidiary of NNPC Group, Kanayo Oduo, said that while Nigos is the original equipment manufacturer, NNEL is working with Nigos to supply the equipment, while Shafa Energy provides the outlet for the deployment. He said NNEL would partner with other retail stations in Nigeria as well, adding that outlets operated by the retail subsidiary of NNPC Limited were also being issued for the initiative. What the partnership entails is this, that we have the Nigos, there is NNPC, the New Energy Limited, and we have and we are the non-operators in the case, working with Nigos to supply the equipment, which are the charging stations across the country. AYM Shafa petrol stations will hold the charging equipment, so Shafa filling stations are where the charging stations would sit, and these are electric charging stations. It's powered by solar, so the source of money is limitless. For as long as there is sunlight, we will have a generator. We will have a generation of energy without looking for diesel or petrol. This is a straight source from God that we are utilizing, although stated. He added that, and aside from charging vehicles, you can also use this to power homes. The equipment you are looking at now is about 75 amps generator. So it can charge 4 homes where you have 115 kVA and 20 kVA generators. But at the filling stations, it will be used to charge electric vehicles, whether motorcycles, tricycles, or any type of automobile that is powered by electricity. He said that NNEL would aggressively deepen the renewable energy footprint of the NNPC, stressing that the firm would expand its reach nationwide. There's going to be a lot of action by NNEL in the renewable energy sector. This action will lead not only to electric vehicle recharging stations, but also lighting up Nigeria through solar. Now, apart from charging vehicles, this station car can also charge homes. So NNPC New Energy is going to go full throttle in our expansion with our partners on moving rate. He said the partnership will expand beyond Shafa filling stations to other outlets in the south. You are watching ATN Business on Atlantic Television Network. We will be back shortly after this break. Please stay tuned.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused today, only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
you human trafficker.
Honorable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back to ATN Business on Atlantic Television Network right here in the big business city of Port Harcourt. And now let's go over to the rest of our stories. But don't forget, we are on StarTimes channel 194 and you can also view live on YouTube. Going over to the global markets, Asian shares were mostly lower on Friday after Wall Street retreated following strong economic reports that raised the possibility of interest rates staying painfully higher. The U.S. futures edged higher and oil prices also rose. And Japan's Nikkei 225 index lost 1.2% to 38,623 points. And the Hang Seng in Hong Kong fell 0.4% to 18,798 points. South Korea's Kospi declined 1.2% to 2,689 points, while in Australia the S&P ASX 200 shed 0.9% to 7,740.60 points. Taiwan's TAIEX slipped 0.2% after hitting a record high on Thursday. And on Thursday, most U.S. stocks slumped in the latest example of how good news for the economy can be bad for Wall Street, when strong economic reports raised the possibilities of interest rates staying painfully high. The weakness was widespread and overshadowed a blowout profits report from the market heavyweights, NVIDIA. The S&P 500 fell 0.7% to 5,267 points in its sharpest drop since April. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 1.5% to 39,065 points, and the Nasdaq Composite slipped 0.4% to 16,736 points. Treasury yields cranked up the pressure following the stronger than expected reports on the U.S. economy. This forced traders to rethink bets about when the Federal Reserve could offer relief to financial markets through lower interest rates. One report suggested that the growth in U.S. business activities is running at its fastest rate in more than 2 years. S&P Global said that its preliminary data showed growth improved for businesses, but also in the hard-hit manufacturing sector. A separate report, meanwhile, showed that the U.S. job market remains solid despite high interest rates. Few workers applied for unemployment benefits last week than expected by the economists, an indication that layoffs remain low. The Federal Reserve Bank of the United States of America is trying to pull off the difficult feat of slowing the economy enough through high interest rates to get inflation back to 2%, but not so much that it forces a painful recession. It's been holding its main interest rates at the highest level in more than 2 decades to do so, and Wall Street is itching for some easing. The hotter than expected economy could push the Federal Reserve Bank to wait longer before cutting interest rates after traders already ratcheted back their earlier forecasts. Hopes are still high for at least one cut to rates this year, but traders pulled back on some of those bets following Thursday's reports. The yield on the 10-year Treasury, talking about stocks and bonds, which helps set rates for mortgages and other loans, rose to 4.47% from 4.43% late Wednesday. The 2-year yield, which more closely tracks expectations for actions by the Federal Reserve, climbed 4.93% from 4.87%. The sharpest single drop within the S&P 500 came from Live Nation Entertainment, which tumbled 7.8% after the Justice Department accused it and its Ticketmaster business of running an illegal monopoly over live events in the country. VF Corporation, the company behind the North Face, Vans, other brands fell 2.9% after reporting a loss for the latest quarter, along with weaker revenue than analysts expected. They helped to move more than offset a 9.3% leap for Nvidia, which delivered its latest knockout profit report late on Wednesday. Its revenue surged 262% in the latest quarter from a year earlier, and its profits leaped an eye-popping 629%. The company's chips are helping to train artificial intelligence systems, and demand for them has been voracious. Nvidia is also increased its dividend as its CEO, Jensen Huang, touted how the next industrial revolution has begun. Concern has grown that the Wall Street's frenzy around the potential for AI has created a bubble where prices have soared too high and expectations have grown too tough. But Nvidia continues skyrocketing growth, tampered down some of the criticisms, and in some other trading. Going into the crude oil market, the benchmark crude oil added 11 cents to $76.98 per barrel in electronic trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange. It gained 30 cents on Thursday. And Brent crude, the international standard crude oil, was up 16 cents at $81.52 per barrel. And going on to Google, Google has announced plans to build Umoja, the first ever fiber optic cable directly connecting Africa with Australia. This groundbreaking project is poised to significantly enhance digital connectivity and economic integration between the two continents, according to a statement by the firm on Thursday. Anchored in Kenya, the Umoja cable will pass through several African countries, including Uganda, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, before making its way across the Indian Ocean to Australia. The route also incorporates the Google Cloud region in South Africa, ensuring robust cloud service connectivity. Google said in collaboration with Liquid Technologies, the Umoja cable will provide a high scalable network path and feature multiple access points to facilitate broader regional connectivity. This infrastructure was designed to deliver reliable and expansive digital services, addressing the chronic issue of network outages that have historically plagued the region, the search engine giant has stated. Named after the Swahili word for unity, Umoja is a part of Google's Africa Connect initiative, which includes the Equiano subsea cable project. Google said that the project was made possible with partnerships from leaders across Africa and Australia, stating that the project aimed to connect the African people, businesses, and governments. Reacting to this development, the U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, said that the access to the latest technology, supported by reliable and resilient digital infrastructure, was critical to growing economic opportunity. This is a meaningful moment for Kenya's digital transformation journey, and the benefits of today's announcement will cascade across the region, he remarked. In addition to today's infrastructure announcement, Google will sign a statement of collaboration with Kenya's Ministry of Information Communications and the digital economy to accelerate joint efforts in cybersecurity, growing data-driven innovations, digital upskilling, and responsibly and safely deploy AI for societal benefits. Kenyan President Dr. William Ruto expressed his pleasure regarding Google's investment in digital connectivity, calling it a historic achievement for Kenya, Africa, and Australia. And dear viewers, this is where we wrap it up on this segment on this episode of